Welcome to the Business of Craft podcast presented by Stitchcraft Marketing. For nearly 16 years, we've taught retailers, manufacturers, and makers in the craft space how to thrive. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you like what you hear, leave a review to help others find our content.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business of Craft. I am your host, Leanne Presley, and today we are covering one of the chapters in our book as we have the whole series this season. This one is going to be episode 13 on chapter 15, Third Spaces. So I know so far in this whole series of Business of Craft this year, we've focused really heavily on digital strategies. And your space, whether you are a retailer in a brick and mortar or you've got an online presence, is really one of the most important tools that you have in your arsenal for marketing. And so I've been thinking a lot about this third space, and that's why we really needed to include it in the book, because I'm seeing so much chatter and so much talk lately about the missing link of marketing, the missing piece. And that is that you really need to tap into your customers' desire for a sense of belonging, right? We're all so head down in our socials. We're all so consumed by sort of the frenetic pace of life and what's happening in the news and culturally that people are really gravitating towards something that can ground them. And so this is a great opportunity for you, especially if you're a retailer, to create a space that gives your customers that sense of belonging, that sense of calm, that sense of sort of pulling out of the mayhem and the chaos and finding some peace in their craft hobbies. So in the book, we talk about a lot of different tactical ways to build community, and I'm going to just touch on a few of those today. You know, with Business of Craft, this is just kind of a snippet, an overview of some of the deeper dive that we do in our book, Marketing Magic for Savvy Craft Businesses. And if you're not familiar with the book or you haven't gotten a copy yet, you can jump on over to our website at stitchcraftmarketing.com and pick up a copy where you can see lots of examples and where we dig a little bit deeper into all the concepts that we've covered here in Business of Craft for this season. So let's just start with asking the big question, which is, if you're a retailer, is your space just a shop, just a place for people to pick up their supplies? Or is it a community hub, right? Of course, we want the latter. We want our spaces to be a community hub. Because the truth is, like I said, your customers don't just want products, right? If they wanted just products, they can find many places to get that. And we're just flooded as consumers with tons of options. So as retailers, we really need to think about how to level up the value add that we're offering our customers. And we know from the data and just from the marketing landscape that what they want is that connection. They want experiential shopping. They want a sense of belonging, right? They're looking for their tribe of people. They're looking for the ones that know the difference between different types of cast-ons, or which cast-on they can recommend to you for a stretchy hat, for example. Or they want to know that you also know how important it is to change out your rotary blade, for example, right? They want to be seen and heard, and speaking the common language of crafts is one way that we all feel like we're part of something bigger, that we're understood and people get us. At least for me, I know how I feel when that happens, when I have an experience. Sometimes you might have had this experience where you're out in the wild and you're wearing something that you made. and someone comes up to you and says, "Oh my gosh, did you make that?" And immediately, I know if you're a crafter and you're a maker and you've made something you've worn, you know exactly that moment of what I'm talking about, where that other person and you just have a synergy in that moment. And you say, "Yeah, I did make it." And if they are, maybe just an admirer, they might say, "Oh, it's beautiful," or someone in my family used to knit. But if they are another maker, they're going to go deeper with you, right? They're going to ask you what yarn it is, what pattern it is. They're going to admire the color work or the stranding. They're going to want to see the inside. They're going to want to ask you questions. At least that's what happens to me, right? And you can tell a story. Like I just recently made a jacket out of a vintage quilt. And every time I wear that jacket, I would say every time not only do I get compliments and people want to talk about it, but multiple people will want to stop me and talk about this jacket. And so not only is it a way to connect with people, but it gives me and that other person that sense of bonding and community. And so that's what you're trying to create on a bigger picture, right? People want to buy, I always say this, people want to buy hope, right? You're not just selling a skein of yarn. You are selling an aspirational feeling about doing the crafts, right? And so let's, as marketers, be mindful of how we tap into that. So there's a couple of ways that you can create this in your shopping experience. So you can do many different things. I'll just give you a quick list here. You can do virtual and in-store events that build loyalty. You can create that both in person and online. And here's some of the more common ways that you can do that. You can do sit and stitch sessions, or like my shop calls them, stitch and bitch. If you're feeling like you're a frisky shop, remember to embrace your brand, of course, in however you show up. You can do UFO meetups in your shop. Of course, that's unfinished objects. So people just bring the thing they're working on and have a little session there. And maybe there's someone on your staff that helps them complete those projects. Make-alongs are super popular. We just did a whole webinar on how to ideate and come up with and organize make-alongs in our community, which is our Stitchcraft exclusive membership only community. And if you're interested in learning more about that, we've got information on our website about that. But that's the kind of content that you can get in the community, is the hand-holding, right? The step-by-step on how to create a make-along, because those are so effective in creating that third space. Lots of shops do trunk shows, where you're bringing in new designers or new colorways, or you do collaborations. Those are super popular. You can do craft bars where people just drop in and create. You can do closet sales for lightly used handmade goods. You can do swaps. Of course, not all shops like to do this. I know some people really discourage bringing in your skeins of yarn that you're wanting to get rid of the last few. Some shops are like, we only want customers to buy brand new yarn, and I totally get that. And if you're not the kind of shop that wants to do swaps, then skip that idea. But some people find if they do a swap, then those customers are just building that loyalty to the shop. And so when they do need a complement to that yarn or something else to sort of fill in the blank on that project, they are going to buy from you. So don't worry too much about swaps. Hey there, everybody. It's Leanne Presley with Stitchcraft. I just wanted to share with you a new announcement we have about a brand new community that we're launching in 2025. Crafting's always been about community. So why do less than 20% of craft business owners feel a sense of community with other owners in the craft industry? And that data point comes directly out of our research. We're so busy creating strong communities for our customers that we always forget we need the same level of support and guidance and camaraderie that we have curated for our customers. So our SCM, Stitchcraft Marketing, members only, provides an exclusive, dedicated online space for individual and group mentorship, marketing exercises, specialized courses, accountability, and encouragement to help you level up your skills as a craft business owner. The whole community is going to be guided by the marketing professionals that run Stitchcraft Marketing, who, as you know, also love crafting. We are knitters, we're crocheters, we're sewists, we're quilters, we're garment makers. And we've been there in the trenches struggling along with our clients. And so we know what you're seeking as a business owner. If you are a small craft business owner juggling all of those responsibilities to run your business, this community is absolutely for you. Each month, Members Only is going to focus on a different topic related to running an efficient craft business. We'll have coursework, classes, opportunities for personalized coaching and mentorship. So check it out. It's going to be at our website, stitchcraftmarketing.com, and you'll see the tab at the top for Members Only. Hope to see you in there. And then, of course, charity events where people get together and maybe they're knitting hats for charity or baby blankets or whatever it happens to be. But that's another great way to bring people together under a common theme of charity events. Of course, these events not only drive foot traffic and online digital engagement, but of course, they're generating that content and they're strengthening your brand's voice in the community. So, of course, we love this concept of turning your shop into a third space. If you've never heard of this concept, it was coined by sociologist Ray Oldenburg. A third space is a place that is not work, it is not home, it is a third place where people feel a sense of belonging. So for many of you listening, you might already kind of go through your brain and think about what your third spaces are. So it could be your gym, your library, your church, your community center, your garden club, and of course, your crafty spaces. Might even be your coffee shop. Those are the places where we're going to create this sense of belonging. So I want to give you just a couple of commonalities of third spaces. So as you're thinking about how to create this for your business, you can keep these in mind. And again, of course, we do these lists and you can review all of this in the book. So the first one is that it has to be neutral ground, right? People want to be there. This is not a buy first environment. You are not there to offer sales, coupons, promotions. I don't want this to be a time or an opportunity where you're pushing products or services, right? It has to be neutral ground. We want it to also be an inclusive atmosphere. So all skill levels and backgrounds are included. You want to encourage different lifestyle choices, different budgets, different skill levels, really whatever atmosphere you can create that is all inclusive. Conversation first. The crafting is the social piece. So of course, let your conversations flow. You want it to be easy participation. So make sure you are thinking about drop-in days, low commitment classes, one-offs, beginner-friendly events, right? You don't want people to have to make a huge commitment to coming into your third space because that's creating extra friction. You also want to have skillful cheerleaders, right? These are your regulars. They are going to set the tone for your third space. And I say skillful cheerleaders because your group leaders can really make or break your space. If they're too political, if they're too exclusive, if they create too much of a territorial environment, this is going to be a turnoff to new people. They won't feel like they can break in. So it's super important for you to keep your finger on the pulse of that vibe. And if participants are triggering some red flags, you need to jump in and act quickly on that. You want to keep it purposefully playful. You want to keep things light and fun. Maybe you think about creating sort of a group logo or some swag or your language or t-shirts or themed parties. Like there's a lot of ways that being playful can be that glue that creates that cohesiveness between the people that are coming. And then, of course, your home away from home, building belonging, and customers will stick around. Okay, also, there's a way you can build this online. If you have an online presence only or you don't have brick and mortar, there are ways that you can extend these virtual spaces into Zoom, live streams, Facebook Lives. You can go live on YouTube. There's plenty of places where you can create this sort of digital front porch. So don't overlook that. Same ideas apply here. where you can bring an audience together, you can hang out, you can share, learn, and that can all be done virtually as well. And I think even collaborations and joining with brand partners or designers to co-host some of these events, that can help you share your workload, boost your exposure, and deepen your brand as well. So don't dismiss the third space if you do not have a brick and mortar. All right, so what are your next action steps? Here is a quick little to-do list after the episode. So I want you to sit down and just sketch out what maybe a sit and stitch or a virtual make along might look like. Let's just take the first step, right? I don't need you to plan out the entire thing, but let's just do one step. Maybe one of your steps is reaching out to a designer or an influencer for a trunk show. Keep in mind that oftentimes trunk show reservations can take up to a year in advance. So if you even start doing the outreach right now, you won't have to do some of that other planning until 6 months, 9 months, or a year out. So take that first step and send that email or do some research into some of the designers or the yarn brands that you might want to showcase. Next, you could evaluate your shop. Does it feel welcoming? Is it inclusive? Does it have a fun vibe? What is the vibe? You could maybe hire or work with a secret shopper to do an audit or get an outside opinion. And of course, you want to create that dedicated space. So hope this gives you some great ideas for starting a third space in your place. And I would love to hear some of that feedback as you get rolling. And I look forward to having you join us on the next episode of Business of Craft. Until then, take care. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Business of Craft. Hey, before you go, don't forget about all of our free resources, including our monthly magic newsletter, our twice monthly blogs, our free live monthly office hours where you can jump on, learn a topic, and get a little bit of free consulting, our executive summary of the 2023 research for craft retailers that you can download directly from our website. And we have a lot of tutorial videos as well as recordings of all of our past office hours on our YouTube channel. So find all those resources at our website, stitchcraftmarketing.com. And on our website, you can also purchase a copy of our book, Marketing Magic for Savvy Craft Businesses in Kindle, paperback, or audio format. See you next time.